with this other video of this guy. What's he called? Hold on, let me pull it up. Here's another video of Living Man. Okay, let's see what this guy does in court. I'll say this. Great taste in hats.
He is not represented by counsel here today. Mr. Tertelget has been charged with 2 misdemeanor offenses, which we'll be trying today.
I must object. I am not the name that he is referring to.
Oh, God. He's played too much Phoenix Wright. Objection!
I am the living man. The name that Mr. Riley refers to, ma'am, is held by the state in all capital letters and is identified by the state on the state's driver's license, ma'am. I am not the all capital fiction. I am the living man whose mark is that of life. It is called a signature, and the nature of that sigil, ma'am, is the living person. It is never in all capital letters.
How did you determine that he's using capital letters in verbal language? I guess if you scream your name, that could be interpreted as all capital letters, but he just said your name normally. So, on what are you basing the fact that you think that he's saying your names in all capital letters? That's not how verbal language works.
Ma'am, I must object, ma'am. Without proper evidence of oath and bond as required, and I am backed, ma'am, by 20 United States Supreme Court cases to this end, it should have been brought to my hand more than a month ago, and no evidence has been brought forward of any competency of any of this.
Any competency of any of this. So you're taking into question the competency of the court. What does that have to do with anything? Are you trying to say that you don't believe the court has jurisdiction over you, or that they haven't provided evidence to the fact that you've committed a crime? Because I find both of those very difficult to believe for obvious reasons.
I have to speak for myself, ma'am. No one here is capable of doing it, and particularly those that are bar or non-bar. They can only speak, ma'am, to the legal. My interest is to forfend my person's living name.
Your Honor, this is an improper objection and violation of the motion to eliminate.
This poor lawyer, just doing his fucking job. I have no idea what he's been charged with, in this case. But regardless of what it is, I have a feeling he did it.
Ma'am? Who can tell the living man in a commercial event such as this, who has the right to tell the living man when he can speak and when he cannot speak, what sounds he can...
The judge. The judge has the right to tell you to shut up, because it's their courtroom. That's how laws work. The judge is the authority in the courtroom, and you have proper times you're supposed to speak in court, and times you're not. If it were just like a free-for-all, courts would be a nightmare, more so than they already are. So no, proper procedure dictates sometimes it's your turn to speak, and then other times it's the prosecution's turn to speak, and then other times it's the judge's turn to speak. That's how it works.
Making what sounds he cannot make. You understand? He is addressing British law, ma'am. He is a minister on behalf of Great Britain.
What?
Ma'am, without oath and bond, contempt has already been established here. In the face of all these witnesses, ma'am, where...
How has he not been thrown in prison at this point? He's committing the most blatant contempt of court I think I've ever seen. And I've seen a decent number of these sovereign citizen videos. At least most of them know when the judge is talking, you let them talk. Most of the time.
Where is the evidence of oath and bond, ma'am? Look. The requirement is right here, ma'am.
There's nothing funny about the
through
tools
all
of
ranks
capitalism.
of the court, ma'am. I have done due diligence and due process.
Devious Chillster, thank you for gifting a sub to Legend of Phoenix.
I communicated properly. I backed up my work. I backed up the research, it's nice and neat, and I have total failure. I have total incompetency of the court because there is no evidence of Mr. Riley's office, nor of yours, ma'am, nor of this lady's here, nor even the fine police officers that are here today. I have nothing to work with now. Now I'm out here hanging over the abyss. I must make my own way.
And you will be allowed that, but allow Mr. Riley.
Why, please give me an honorable answer, is a British
Enjoy the hot
recognized
pocket
esquire
emote,
asking
Sarah.
questions in
Hopefully I'll make partners soon and I'll be able to upload more emotes and stuff.
an American courtroom. Why is title of nobility applied behind this gentleman's name that is recognized as being banned from our country in the 1789 Constitution? Is nobody going to stand for our Constitution?
Allow Mr.
I cannot, ma'am. In honor of the Constitution of the United States, I cannot allow a man who carries British recognition for the purposes of British ministerial law to continue to persecute me. I cannot, ma'am. I have.
How is she this patient? I'd be like, hold on, where's my gavel? Gotta get my tinfoil gavel. Contempt to court, 30 days. Jesus Christ.
The founders, ma'am. I honor the memory of those who fought and died that we could be.
Oh yeah, the fact that he's white has a huge bearing on this. A non-white dude doing this, or a woman of color, they would have been thrown in jail way earlier.
Of this very type of thing.
You'll be taken up to the jury room where you may watch the proceedings.
Stand up.
I have
Oh good.
If I stand up, I give you
Contempt of court. Thank fuck.
All right. No, pick me up. I cannot give you recognition. I'm constrained by the.
Pick me up! That's a baller move. Pick me up, copper.
United States Constitution of 1789. Sir, you're a Bozeman native. What are you doing packing a British recognition? Gentlemen,
I shouldn't laugh because this guy's like,
1789
there's something wrong with him.
Overthrow of the Bill of Rights.
But he sure is a character.
An overthrow of Title 26 United States Code, and above all, it is an overthrow of universal law. Would one of you remove my bolo tie and return it to somebody in the crowd, please, so that it doesn't disappear from this place?
Why do you think it's more likely that handing your bolo tie to a random person in the crowd is more likely to Why do you think it's less likely to disappear to some random person than in the evidence room that they put like all your shit in when you get arrested? Or personal belongings room. I don't know where stuff gets put when you get arrested.
He has made his way through everything. He will speak as my voice.
Yes, we will watch more Living Man. I have not seen the video of the Australian man being arrested for dining and dashing. I don't think he ever stops talking, no. Why would he? It is his right as a freeman to speak as often and as loudly as he likes, regardless of whether or not he is in a courtroom. Oh god. That's some, look at that. It's like some Alex Jones-esque bullshit. Every prepper should have the power of ionic silver in their go bag or medicine cabinet.
Go ahead.
Yikes. Thank you to Sham Rockstar with 100 bits. Thank you.
My name is Ernie Wayne Drutokta. Today is the 30th of August of 2016. A brief
Hold on, someone in the chat sent me something that... Extra large Viking horn dice. Ooh. Those are pretty rad. What are they made out of? Some sort of animal product, I assume, based upon what you said about Baja not liking them. Handcrafted medieval horn dice have been used all throughout history, since the Egyptian Viking Renaissances to current times. Common dice and other bone horn items found in Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Made from real cow horn. I think it's pretty cool. I don't use D6s a ton, though. Wait, did they have other ones other than D6s? Although, my next character for Campaign 2 will use a lot of D6s, so fair enough. Yeah, it looks like they're just D6s. That's pretty cool.
Anything but inspect this temple of capitalism?
Thank you, Railcast, for raiding with a party of 4, a little mini-raid. Thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. We're talking sovereign citizens.
Brief lesson in my hands for the people who were trapped in slavery. The traffic citation that I am displaying to you is state's property called an allegation, which they call evidence. But an allegation is not evidence, an allegement, an allegation is...
Correct. Allegations aren't evidence, but allegations are made and then evidence is provided to support those allegations. They're not saying that them pulling you over in and of itself is evidence that you have committed a crime. I'd imagine the testimony of the cops, along with whatever video evidence they have, is going to be what is considered the evidence in the trial.
But proof. The proof claimed on here is that an accusation has been made that I was driving without a license. Now, proper investigation requires, do I, in the jurisdiction I am known to be in, am I required to have a driver's license, when the actuality is that the UCC codes and statutes that pertain to those who have to have a driver's license clearly reveal that I am not within corporate jurisdiction.
Holy crap, let's take a look at this weird stuff you wrote. You are within U.S. jurisdiction, even though it doesn't matter because the U.S. doesn't issue driver's license. The state that you are living in this case Montana, does issue driver's licenses. So you are under the jurisdiction of the Montana codes in regard to operating a motor vehicle. So let's see. What does he have written here? I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I'll read it out. It says person per son, and then person but with dots in between each one. And he says person equals Public Employee Retirement System of the Nation. That's a pretty forced acronym. So I'd like to think that our shadow government, if there was a secret set of laws that made it so they could enforce laws on you. Fun fact, it's not secret. The state you live in has jurisdiction over you. That's how it works. It's not a secret. That's what I don't get about these people. It's so funny because they're like, guys, did you know that there's this secret, shadowy secret law and these secret corporations, and that's how the state says they have authority over you? And everyone else is just like, wait, what? They have authority over us. We're citizens of the state we live in. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, but you don't get it. There's this secret, like, regardless of all the secret bullshit, basically everyone agrees that we are under the jurisdiction of the laws of the land in which we live. Even if you were, like, a citizen from another country, let's say you're French, and you come to the United States, you are still bound by United States law because you were within its borders. That's how law works. Oh, boy.
Jurisdiction. I am not engaged in the act of commerce. I am not traveling across state lines with the bearance of persons, chattels, properties, goods, or possessions for the purpose of gain or profit. What I do is I travel, I live, as the law has a body, a voice, and has arms of enforcement. I also comprehend then that the law also has range of motion. And as a man of law, as a son of the actual 1789 singularly de jure American Republic, I have access.
Singularly de jure American public. That is kind of a word salad sentence because de jure just means by law. So he's saying singularly by law American Republic. What does that mean?
Access to full law. These are called natural rights, and they are identified as unalienable. Now, without utilizing my
Yeah. Yep. Legend of Phoenix says whoever's recording this is breathing so hard. Yeah.
Constitution of 1789.
What, you don't like this in the mic? Sorry, that's
we will
gross.
do that tomorrow in high action before the court. I would like to just take you through.
Excuse me, Sarah, tripods are a tool of the American corporation to try and get us to not use our own two hands to film the rights that we have.
The name that you see on here,
Devious Chillster with 50 bits says, hey, don't kink shame Hannah. Maybe they just like terrible law practice. True. Daddy Sume with 10 bits. Sovereign Citizen ASMR by Hannah Reloaded.
There's nothing
Yeah.
funny about the tools of capitalism.
Yeah.
the ornithotelic name on here, the officer that conducted the stop, I allowed him to see the state's form called Certificate of Live Birth, which is in engrossed lettering, all capitals, which instantly renders all claims beneath it as to be corporate chattels.
No, it doesn't. I don't know where they get this shit. I have no idea why they think that all caps mean a specific thing that makes it like corporate. That's not how it works.
Now, corporate chattels are artificial entities, and under color of law, the state can...
Chattel, by the way, is, in legal terms, chattel is like, cows, chickens, your dog, your cat is chattel that you own. Chattel is any living property that you can have as a citizen. That's why when slavery was still a thing in the United States, we call that chattel slavery, because it was slavery under which the people who were enslaved were considered property under the law. So that's what chattel means.
only interface with artificial entities. If you believe yourself to be an artificial entity...
Vision is chattel too. Yeah, I think Legal Eagle did a video on Avengers and the Sokovia Accords, and he talked about how Vision is technically Tony Stark and Bruce Banner's chattel.
Entity, imagine yourself to be the tabletop that I'm utilizing, having no mind, no voice, no soul, no heartbeat, no body temperature, then that would be you, and they would interface with you. Artificial entities...
What? No. Tables are not chattel because tables are property. Tables are non-living. You need to be living to be chattel. That's why a cow is chattel. Your cat is your chattel. It's property that you own that is also a living being, and that designates different rights to it as well. That's why you have, like, even though your cat or your dog is your property, being that it is chattel, it still has certain rights. Like, you can't abuse your animal. You can, like, take, I don't know, this is my phone. My phone is my property, but it's not chattel. So if I wanted, because it's my property, I could smash this phone, right? Because it's my property, and it is just that property. I can do whatever I want with it within the bounds of the law. Chattel, being alive, has certain rights outside of being your property. That's why you cannot, like, beat your dog up despite the fact that it is your property.
are known to...
Also a fucked up thing to do, outside the legal, if I need to point that out. Don't abuse your animals. Super fucked. Speaking of which, Baja and I got approved to adopt that cat. So next Sunday we should be picking that cat up, and I'm very excited. Daddy Sume, chattel is any property that is not real estate. Is it? I didn't know that. I thought chattel was specifically living things. Let me look it up. I believe you. I just want to look up the actual. Chattel, a personal possession, a item of property other than real estate. Oh, I was wrong on that. Note, audience, I was wrong. Take everything that I've said about chattel and know that it's not true. Am I thinking of the word livestock? Is that why I was confused? An item of tangible or movable, immovable property except real estate and things such as buildings connected to real property. Let me look at livestock. Maybe I was thinking of livestock as a legal term. Farm animals. So that's still farm animals. So what would be considered a separate category from inanimate property versus animals that you own? Sushi Mom 10 says a federal agent is under investigation after shooting a man in the head with a crowd control weapon last night in Portland. Jesus Christ. That's fucked up. Yeah, I'm very excited for the kitty. And you will get to meet her whenever she's comfortable. We, just speaking about the cat briefly, we'll get back to this in a second. I don't know how long it'll be until the cat will be comfortable to like come up here like he does, because according to the adoption website, she's a little shy in terms of new people. But it does say once she gets to know them, she's very like loving and cuddly, and that's cool. So in her own time, whenever she feels comfortable, you'll maybe see her on stream. Yeah.
To be what the cameraman has already filmed. They in U.S. code are called persons. The Constitution of 1789 in the preamble does not start out with the words, we the persons. It says, we the people.
Okay, but that's persons and people. Let's see. Is there a distinction between persons and people in law? Persons. Law. Definition. Overview. Legal person refers to a human or non-human entity that is treated as a person for limited legal purposes. Typically, illegal persons can sue or be sued on property. I'm looking not just for person, but persons, which is just, I know, the plural of person, but I'm trying to see if what he's saying has anything in law that he's basing it on. Legal definition of a person. Personal law and legal definition. Legal person? In law, a legal person is a person or thing, less ambiguously, a legal entity that can do things an everyday person can do. Enter into contract, sue, be sued, like a company, like an LLC, is a legal entity. It can sue and stuff, even though it's not a literal person.
A gigantic difference. Persons cannot be people, and people cannot be persons without...
That's untrue. We just read that it can either be individuals or it can be legal entities. So, a corporation can sue as a person can, but a person can also sue another person or a company.
Without somebody committing an impersonation. 1789 common law is not civil law. Civil law is code law, statutes, regulations, and codes. Those who are of the civil jurisdiction of the District of Columbia and the incorporated states are civilians. I am a citizen. I am not engaged in 14th Amendment activity. I'm not in office. I'm not staffed by one. I'm not elected, never have been, and am never going to be.
Oh, I've been sent pictures of the kitty. I'll show real quick, and then we can get back to the... Let me see if you guys can see this. Face cam focus. This is the kitty. Her name is Lou. I believe it's like the long version is like lupine or something. It's like a hold on. Lupine. Yes. Her name is Lupine. I remember because I was told it's the name of a flower. I'm going to call her Lou for short.
I am an American citizen of the American Republic of 1789. To say it again, you must get this into your mind, as certain terminology completely establishes jurisdictional boundaries. If you transgress the jurisdictional boundaries of the 1789 American Republic, you will establish yourself, first of all, as the son of the Republic, into the chargeability of treason against you. You are clearly 3 times in the 1789 Constitution, we citizens of the Republic are restrained when it comes to alienating our rights from ourselves. This
CJ Oracle asks, am I being detained? Yeah, you have to stay here for the rest of the stream. That's the law. Fun fact.
This is an attempt.
And as we saw from my definition of chattel earlier, I know so much about the law.
At alienation of my right to travel, my range of motion, my right to be, make my peaceful, lawful way upon the land, pursue farming as I pursue farming in whatever form I find farming in to do. This is an attempt to alienate that right from me. There is a program.
No, it's not. You were probably driving a vehicle without a license or registration or something, and you can't drive on public roads without those things. On your own personal property, your private property, you can drive whatever you want. But once you go on public roads, it becomes a public matter.
That is called A2/A. There should be a colon in it. Put it in your mind. Put the colon in with a D at the end.
You don't get the 1789 shit. 1789 was the year the Constitution was ratified.
A2/A:D. It is a naval program. When I say Navy, you think to yourself, law of the sea. When you think to yourself, law of the sea, ask yourself if you're wet. If you're standing upon the dry land, why then, you must ask, is the American jurisdiction governed by the law of the sea? Who brought that about?
It's not. These people think that somehow American law is maritime law. It's not. I can't believe I have to say that. But law on the land is not maritime law. Dude Spanking Dude says, when my own cat passes away, I was thinking of getting a fennec fox, but then I decided that I don't want to be a part of the selling and buying of exotic animals, and it wouldn't be fair to the animal, yeah. There is, in Russia, they've been doing experiments for a long time and trying to domesticate foxes, so maybe someday, not within our lifetimes, but hundreds of years from now, there might be breeds of domesticated foxes as pets, I don't know. But yeah, exotic, wild animals as pets, not a great idea. They reject everything after 1789. A lot of them do, yes. They won't necessarily explicitly say that all the time, but the fact that they bring up, like, constantly 1789, it makes me think that they think that amendments that have been added to the Constitution and court cases that, of course, apply to the jurisdictions that the court makes the ruling in, because we live in a common law system, it makes me think that they don't think that those apply to them, despite the fact that, of course, they do. They think an amendment passed when it really didn't. Titles of Nobility Amendment. The Titles of Nobility Amendment is a proposed amendment to the United States Constitution. The 11th Congress passed it on May 1st, 1810, and submitted to the state legislatures for ratification. It would strip United States citizenship from any citizens who accepted a title of nobility from an emperor, king, or prince of foreign power. On 2 occasions between 1812 and 1816, it was within 2 states of the number needed to become part of the Constitution. Congress did not set a time limit for its ratification, so the amendment is still pending before the states. Ratification by an additional 26 states is needed for its adoption. So, do they think that they can somehow anoint themselves with a title of nobility and therefore have their citizenship stripped so that they are, I guess, sovereign citizens, even though that still wouldn't be the case because you can't be sovereign within another country? Like I said before, even if you were a citizen of another country or nowhere, when you're in a country, you are beholden to its laws.
Is an 18.
Like, I can't go to Britain and start driving on the right side of the road, and when they pull me over, go, I'm a United States citizen, I don't have to use your laws. That would be ridiculous. Once you're in a country, you are bound by its laws.
Via the British accredited registry that the idea of burying the land beneath the sea level, called Pikes Peak, 2 feet beneath the level of the sea.
Oh, scroll down to the misconceptions bit. Known as the 13ers, people known as the 13ers, rather, have claimed that the Titles of Nobility Amendment actually became part of the Constitution. It in fact was mistakenly included as the 13th Amendment in some early 19th century printings of the Constitution. Thank you to Simpotent for 100 bits. Appreciate that. Between 1819 and 1867, the Statutory Law Code of Virginia included it as well. This misconception has become significant because it is yoked with another misconception that a lawyer's use of the word abbreviation of Esquire is a title of nobility acquired from a foreign power, and so some litigants and others have tried to assert that lawyers have lost their citizenship or are disqualified from public office. That's funny. For those of you who don't know, Esquire is something you can add to your name when you become a lawyer. It's like doctor, but for lawyers. I personally haven't seen a ton of lawyers do it. One of my professors in college was a lawyer, and he was like, a lot of people don't do it just because it's kind of out of date. But you can. So if you ever see someone with Esquire at the end of their name, they're a lawyer. Or at minimum, have a law degree. The error arose in 1815. The Philadelphia printing house of Byron and Duane published under a government contract 5-volume set titled Laws of the United States, which printed on page 74 of the first volume the proposed amendment as Article 13, immediately following the adoption and authentic 11th and 12th Amendments with no comment on that page, but more than 76 pages earlier in the volume on page 9 of the introduction, the editor said, "There have been some difficulty in ascertaining whether the amendment proposed, which is stated as the 13th, has or has not been adopted by a sufficient number of state legislatures. It has been considered best, however, to publish the proposed amendment in its proper place as if it had been adopted, with this explanation to prevent misconception." Isn't that wild? In the 1800s, if you wanted to find something out, you couldn't. I mean, not even just the 1800s. I'm talking like 30, 40 years ago. They're like, oh, is this thing a thing? I don't know. How do we find out? Well, we could write to the legislatures and see if someone will get back to us. Fuck it. Just print it. Print it with a warning. I don't know. I don't have the time to look this up. It's crazy. It appears that the Byron and Duane set of federal laws being widely distributed as a standard reference, some compilers of other books copied its text to the Constitution and not remembering or having skipped the caveat in the introduction, mistakenly include the titles of Nobility Amendment as if it had been adopted as the 13th Amendment. This error came to the attention of the U.S. House of Representatives in December 1817, at that time the publisher of a pocket edition of the Constitution, printed under government contract, included the amendment as the 13th Amendment, at which time the House requested that the President ascertain and report on the true status of the proposed amendment. Notwithstanding the official conclusion that the amendment had not been adopted, the erroneous printing of the proposed amendments as if adopted occasionally occurred.
Capitalistic propaganda.
Until some time after 1845. In 1845, the Byron and Duane series of laws was replaced by an entirely new series, United States Statutes at Large, which printed the Constitution with only 12 amendments in Volume 1 and had put the unadopted titles of Nobility Amendments among congressional resolutions in Volume 2. So, let me see. What else? So basically, people just misuse it and think lawyers don't have jurisdiction because they're not citizens or whatever. Thank you, Karma Duck, for following. Welcome to the stream.
Was used to create the fictitious idea under what is called the appearance of law, fiction of law, which fiction of law is never actual. I have all of the information and tons more than we've got time to get through here today. Fiction of law in Black's Fifth is known to be a...
He has good handwriting, at least. That's way better than my handwriting. It's not amazing, but it's, like, legible. My handwriting is awful. I try not to write handwritten stuff. But, you know.
A lie. It is a fraud and it has no validity as an enforceable claim. This ticket in my hands has no validity as an enforceable claim. It was committed as an act of aggression and egressence out of the jurisdiction of corporateness for 14th Amendment persons, which I am not, and rolled over as a attainder onto a son of the Republic. Persons, again, are required to have driver's license. People are not, as long as you're not in the act of commerce. Commerce has a federal definition. Yeah, I have 54 pages of settled law for my backing. It is a portion of my platform, and it is undeniable. And
is he fucking breathing right next to the microphone? He's like, yeah, tell me about the laws. natural man. More like natural daddy. Thank you, Daddy Sume, for 10 bits, and says, it doesn't matter if they are allowed, they have the power, therefore they make the rules. Yeah. Yep.
Inarguable. The problem that we the people run into is that we end up in the courts of the persons. It is the wrong jurisdiction that we the people are immediately brought to. You know it to be the wrong jurisdiction by two presentments called standards brought forward between you and what you view as the judge. The first standard commonly appears to you under the color of law as what you think of as the American flag. You might call it Old Glory, but you would notice that a corporate gold fringe has been put around it, and now say to you,
oh my goodness, this is another thing. Sovereign citizens often believe that gold fringe on a flag denotes that the courtroom that you are in is an admiralty court. This is not the case. Interestingly, a gold fringe is one of the only alterations to a flag that you could have that is legal under the flag code. That's why some flags have a gold fringe, some don't. Let's take a look. Flag, gold fringe. So you can have a flag that has a gold fringe, or you can have one without. Both are acceptable in terms of what is allowed on an American flag. It doesn't mean anything specific. It's just an option that you can have when you're making an American flag. Pretty simple.
yourself, my rights to keep and bear arms shall not be in...
Yeah, I agree it looks ugly. I think it clashes with the other colors in the flag, but it is a thing you can do.
Fringed. Huh. How come there's a fringe around Old Glory? That is the...
Because you're allowed to do that. And sometimes it gets done, and some people think it looks nice for official places like courtrooms. I disagree, but taste is subjective. I don't really care what the flag looks like, it's just a fucking flag.
British toffletry off of the officers at sea. It is that idea rolled over under the law of the sea as superimposed, cut, paste, and copy onto the...
Karmaduck says, have you done a follow-up to the flat earth that flat smacked those school kids? I don't know how recent you did that video. Yeah, I think on... If you look on my YouTube archive, which I'll link in the thing in a second, I think on this wheel stream, I did some more. Let me look at the playlist to see if I did any. Under the highlights playlist, I do have a highlight that's, let's see. We have the flat earther harasses Home Depot employee. I know we also had a section that was like, it must be under the wheel stream because I didn't cut that one up into highlights. Oh no, here it is. This is my follow-up. I did one where it's Nathan Thompson thinks Google Earth is a conspiracy against flat earthers. Here, I'll put it in the chat so you can take a look at it later if you want. And subscribe to the archive channel if you haven't already. All the highlights and archives of the full streams are going there. So, check it out.
Land dwellers than I am. Okay. Now, because this is an act of war, an act of aggression, because jurisdictional boundaries have been clearly established, the three United States, you must know of which United States are you of. Are you of the 1789 de jure American Republic? Are you of the 1861 military division, or are you of the 1871 corporate division that really kicks off in 1933, bankrupting and overthrowing?
1933 is when the Federal Reserve came into existence. A lot of these people believe the Federal Reserve was a turning point in our history, in which the United States really became a corporation, and we all became, chattel of that corporation. Not the case, obviously, but these people believe that.
Throwing my country. An absolute act of war committed by the barristers. One mind, one voice, one intent. All 67,000 barristers plus, extant today upon American soil, are in treasonous standing right now. I am kicking this off by suing under charges of treason, backed by evidence, out of Black's Fifth, This is my hand.
Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. Let's see. Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. Are we on the 5th edition currently? 1979. Let's see what the current edition is. We're on the 11th edition. So there have been more editions since the one he's quoting than there were in existence at the time of the one that he's quoting. Think about that. Imagine if the thing I always go to with this is the DSM. DSM. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Looks like we're on the DSM-5 at this point. Anyway, this is basically where psychiatrists and psychologists use to say, okay, this is the standard that we're all going by as to what qualifies for certain mental illnesses or conditions or whatever. That would be like if I were quoting the DSM-1 from the 1840s or the DSM-2 from 1968 and acting as if it still meant anything nowadays. It means nothing. You can't say, I follow the law, and then quote a book, a reference book on law from, like, the 60s. The law changes pretty frequently because we live in a common law system, and not only that, with all the court rulings, but laws actively get changed by Congress, not to mention executive orders, which is a whole other issue.
Handwritten research on the restraint on alienation, wherein I am charged to never, ever, ever, in the preamble, in the 6th article, and sealed the deal at ratification, I am never, as a son of the Republic.
That, by the way, it looks like he spilled something on that. It's not him spilling. Excuse me. That's not a stain. Well, it is a stain, but it's intentional. People like this think that the only valid signature is a thumbprint or fingerprint in your own blood. So sometimes they'll use red ink as symbolic of one's own blood, but I'd imagine a guy who's so into this, he probably actually used one of those diabetes, stick things to get you to bleed, and then he put a thumbprint on the paper to make it a legal document, which of course isn't how anything works.
Ever to sell, lease, loan, trade, borrow out, give away, or abdicate in fear or whatever else reason any of my natural and unalienable rights for any wrong corporation,
Do they think they're sealing deals with demons? Based on how they view the federal government, yes, I think so.
jurisdiction, agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent for any of them to initiate this process and transgress.
What's the charge that he's dealing with? I think it's operating a motor vehicle without a license.
That clear jurisdictional bounder swings them into status of treason. I will be filing this, and it will be a fight to get it in. You see that I do things by hand. There will be no typing. There will be no justification of an inch in on a page. I am an American Republican citizen, and as such, I am so verified as one. You would...
Yeah, don't try and send this shit into a court. For one thing, no one wants to touch your disgusting paper that you've put your blood on. No one knows where that blood has been. Well, they know it's in your body. What I mean by that is no one knows if you have, like, hepatitis or something. No one wants to touch your icky blood. And secondly, courts already deal with enough backup and stuff in their courts. Like, it's hard enough to get through legal documents that are properly formatted and written by people who know the law, much less the insane cabin ramblings of this old man in a tri-corner hat. Not worth it.
Called the word sovereign, so verified, one, as a son of the Republic. I do not need their theatrics. Their theatrics are worthless and hollow and nothing more than Shakespeare in reverse upon the land today.
Wait, their theatrics are hollow and pointless? Sir, you're wearing a tricorner hat with a feather and signing things in your blood. Do you really think the court is the one who has issues with dramatics? Woo!
This is the actuality. Clinton Grimes has committed an act of treason and Stormy Langston, municipal administrator, intends to back him up. Now, I've offered both a back door because they have transgressed their jurisdictional boundaries. And
Shakespeare in reverse is a really good band name. Everyone steal that for your band.
Are now committing an act of war which is known to be a capital offense, which commands a sentence of capital punishment, a potential life sentence in prison, at a minimum 20 years and many thousands of dollar fine.
Tools of capitalism.
Tom G 10100111010 with 10 bits says, I just want to hear him say, I was born here, I was raised here, and god damn it, I'm gonna die here. Is that from something? Not familiar. He looks like he escaped from the Townsend's Colonial Asylum. Yeah.
Complicated by the Securities Exchange Commission number 264220, already filed as an act of foreclosure upon the corporation 15 of January 2016. They are found standing in complete breach of contract with the American Republicans, you and I, the people who they are supposed to be protecting, not...
Why does the binder say missing 13th Amendment? That has to do with what we were looking up earlier. The amendment that was proposed and signed into law but wasn't ratified by the states that said, more or less, that if you have been gifted a royal title from a foreign government, that your citizenship is revoked. And these people seem to think that that applies. For one thing, it was never ratified. It's not a real amendment. But it was mistakenly printed in some law books and stuff like that, in like collections of the Constitution and its amendments. It was mistakenly printed. So these people think it secretly did get ratified, and it also somehow applies to lawyers because they are given the designation of Esquire when you pass the bar, and they think that that somehow qualifies as a royal title, even though it does not.
Alienating our rights from us.
So it's multiple levels of wrong.
I'm going to swing you back to A2/A:/D, the naval program. It stands for this. Capital A, access. The number 2 is for the word TO, 2. The / is the switch. Where are you going to go? Access to, area is the next capital A. What area? Well, that would be the area of proper jurisdiction. If I get out of my proper jurisdiction, I become treasonous. If they get out of their proper jurisdiction, they become treasonous. You see how this works? But the charges are laid on me first to uphold and defend. That would be the purpose of the oath, to actually uphold and defend the 1789 Constitutional Republic de jure upon the land. The final letter in this naval phrase is D, and put an exclamation point in your mind right behind the D. Denied. This is what they are doing to all of us. You will be brought to a courtroom that is in the wrong jurisdiction. As a citizen, you will be introduced to a court of war, incorporated and eternal. Your rights will simply be denied to you. Access to the jurisdictional area of your common law and natural rights, denied. It's that simple. That evidence is not allowed in this courtroom. You will strike that remark from the record. The jury is not allowed to hear this evidence. The British Accredited Registry will go to extremes to silence this kind of knowledge. I realize I'm speaking like a machine gun rapid fire, and I beg your forgiveness. I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight and educate you as swiftly as I possibly can.
You're not talking that fast. You're just talking a lot. Like, you're not Ben Shapiro in here. It's fine.
Is not on any of our side. Thus it is that tomorrow at 12:30 in the little town of Eureka, Montana, I will be kicking off this 9-page document based on restraint on alienation, which comes against me first. You will see it has my autograph and my thumbprint. For there are no numbers and no artificial identities that pertain to me. I'm not of that jurisdiction. I am the living man. I have but the one thumbprint. It is in red for the blood, and that is my autograph and none.
Yeah, he has a good voice for public speaking. If he wasn't a whack job and he started like a YouTube channel and he was like, and he could even keep the hat. Like, he's got a good, like, how do I put this? He's got a good image for YouTube, you know? He could be like, hello, I'm so-and-so, and today we're gonna teach you how to build a cabin. Like, it's just a channel about, like, how to be self-sufficient in the wilderness or whatever weird stuff he wants to do. Hello, I'm whatever my name is, and today we're gonna learn how to dig a ditch. We're gonna learn how to build a latrine. We're gonna learn how to fish with your bare hands. Like, I don't know, like... He has a good gimmick. He could be crazy mountain man who's like endearing, but instead he's just like crazy, which is a shame.
Can imitate it or copy it without committing capital crime of impersonation. It can be a deadly offense to impersonate. Okay?
Persona.
So this is
that's the word
quickly
I'm thinking
the
of.
evidence.
Thank you, Big Titty
I'm
Man.
just kind of going to lay it out. I would advise that all of you who can follow along. This will be posted in time at thementalmilitia.net on the Montana Natural Man, the Ernie page. Okay, I will be putting my work there. This is the actualities of it. All right, you see this book here, the missing original 13th article, 13th Amendment. Okay. Now, it was supplanted by the 1864 13th Amendment. I have other additives in there.
As we saw earlier, and it's in the chat somewhere if you scroll up, this 13th Amendment was never ratified by the states, therefore it never was the 13th Amendment. It was a proposed 13th Amendment, so it was never law. It was accidentally published in some books of constitutional law, but that's about it.
I want the camera to view what was stolen. Read it for yourselves and
let's see what it says. So what is in this mystery 13th Amendment? Quote, if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall, without the consent of Congress, accept and retain any present, pension, office, or emolument of any kind whatsoever from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States, and shall be incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them, or either of them. So, yeah, this was, and he says, for those who want hard evidence, I offer up the Constitution of the United States of America, printed in 1825 in Portland, Maine. This was a misprint. We read the Wikipedia article earlier. It was misprinted as if it were the 13th Amendment, but it was never ratified, and I doubt it ever will be. There's not an expiration date for it to not be ratified, so it's just in perpetuity out there, and I doubt it'll ever be ratified because this isn't something people are concerned about, you know, in 2020.
think about how this article amendment pertains to this
Enjoy your D&D
conversation
game, Des
that I've
Viper.
just had
Thanks for coming
with
to the
you
stream.
via this camera. Okay, now you see that Clinton Grimes
There's nothing
has
funny
ceased to be.
about capitalism.
Daddy Sume with 10 bits. If we can't get the Equal Rights Amendment passed, this shit is never going to be cared about, you know. Constitutional amendments are rough, because not only do they need to be voted on by, like, 2/3 of Congress, but then the states need to ratify it as well, so it's just real tough. Which is on purpose. Constitutional amendments aren't supposed to be taken lightly, although it does make it very difficult when, like, things need to change.
A citizen of the de jure United States of 1789 Republic standing and is now found instantly to be a foreign.
I don't think it every state doesn't need to ratify it. I'm pretty sure it's like something like 2/3. Let me check. How many states are needed to ratify an amendment to the Constitution? 3/4 of the states, 38 of 50. So you do need a good majority to ratify something.
Of a foreign corporation, a foreign jurisdiction using a foreign language called legalese.
So they somehow think that the Bar Association is a foreign entity, even though it is not.
To commit acts of crime against.
And legalese is like common parlance to talk about like complicated legal terms that I don't understand. But it's not literally a different language. Even the stuff that's in like Latin, like talking about like, oh boy, oh gosh. Let me see. Latin legal terms. List of Latin legal terms. A mensa et thoro, a postori, a priori, a quo. You know, there's tons ad hominem. There's tons of like Latin words that mean things legally. Still, they're used in English. Therefore, they're part of English still in legal language. It's jargon. It's language of your profession. That doesn't make it a foreign entity for using words you don't understand.
An American citizen. I'm searching here a minute for the legalese document. That is the beginning of the document of legalese.
Looks like he smudged a lot of it somehow.
I would take you in it to the 23rd page to the word human being and all.
Oh, he just has a bad printer. You need a better printer, guy. Maybe get a laser printer, I don't know. But, like, look at that. That's very smudgy.
Capitals, which ties into the other document laid below my elbow on the artificial persons of the United States. And, anyway, I've got them buried at the moment, moving too fast.
Yes, he takes exception to the fact that lawyers use the term esquire. Which is a term you can get by passing the bar and becoming a lawyer. Even though many lawyers don't use esquire at the end of their names in official capacities. Random invite. It's interesting they go with the 13th, which isn't law, instead of the emoluments clause, but the emoluments clause doesn't tie into broad citizens, so I guess it makes a little sense, you know?
But anyway, they are artificial.
Frankly, we can't even get Congress to actually act on a president who's breaking the emoluments clause, much less some sort of non-existent 13th Amendment that says that citizens can't have emoluments from foreign governments.
Persons that can only be interfaced with under color of law. Actual common law does not apply to them. The rights that I have as an American citizen of the Republic, they have to purchase. They have to pay for privilege to have the benefit. I do not. And for claim otherwise to be made is instantly bound in the 1789 Constitution. The preamble, I'll swing you back to it. This is the third time I've hit on this. The preamble says, we the people, in order to secure a more and better government, blah, 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 do hereby...
In order to form a more better government. Good job, Thomas Jefferson. How eloquent. In order to form a more perfect union.
Ordain and establish this Constitution, not another, this one. Backed up by Article 6, which says that all judges in all the states and territories shall be bound thereby to the terms of this Constitution of 1789, not another, regardless of charters, treaties, constitutions that any state territory may bring forward, if anything to the contrary of the 1789 juridical claims and clear bounders is alleged, treason has been engendered and the state is instantly found in offense.
What? Is he saying that states can't have their own constitutions? They absolutely can. They can't have things in them that are blatantly unconstitutionally, that are unconstitutional in regard to the federal government. That's what the Supremacy Clause is, yes. But whenever that's happened, there have been court cases, like, for instance, Obergefell v. Hodges in 2015, which legalized gay marriage. There were some states that within their constitutions had made stupid amendments that were like, oh, marriage is between a man and a woman, whatever. And because of the Supremacy Clause, when the Supreme Court, which is the highest court federally, said, hey, nope, everyone has the right to get married, even same-sex couples, it overruled those laws. Yes, but states having their own constitutions are not inherently are not inherently unconstitutional. It's not treason.
Okay, so the word utilized for offense, you will find at the end of the 6th article, is a 3-word phrase. Notwithstanding means has no validity. This ticket is a cripple. It is a mental invalid. It is a physical invalid, and it is a spiritual attack upon a spiritual truth.
It's a ticket for not driving for driving without a license. It's not any of the things you just said.
So, we patriots, we freedom fighters, we truth lovers, we people who try desperately to uphold the proper laws of the land and not violate the garbage out there, but to be people of renown as truth livers, truth seekers. It is this kind of research and information that it takes us to get to the bottom of the barrel, to get past the 100th monkey of evil, okay?
Wait, what? The 100th monkey of evil? I didn't know there were 99 monkeys of evil already. Oh no! That sounds like something we should discuss. Where are these 100 evil monkeys? Now I'm very afraid. James Franco, come and save me from the evil monkeys. It's a Planet of the Apes joke. It's not my best, but you know, they can't all be winners.
This system is based on cut, copy, and paste. They cut your rights, alienate away from you. They paste over U.S. code, statute, commerce, regulation, state code, commerce, regulation, policy, as if it were actual common law, and it is not. Then they...
It is, though. It is. If it's a law in the state, then it is part of the common law, because we live in a common law system. Common law... Oh boy, let's get into common law. Common law, the part of English law that is derived from custom and judicial precedent rather from statutes. So basically, common law means, more or less, that we live within a system where we have different, separate, at least in the United States, we have separate branches of government. We have, of course, the executive, the judicial, and then the legislative. The legislature can pass bills to become law, and then when those laws are out in the wild and are applied, you can bring cases to the judicial branch that can then rule on the interpretation of that law. So the legislature writes the law, and then the courts rule on the law and interpret it, because, of course, even if you're very clear in the writing of your law, the way human beings work is we have to sort of apply these broad laws to specific situations, so it is then the judge's job to decide how to apply the law to the best of their ability. So when the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, we have a hierarchy of courts in the United States. I think many places have this. Our Supreme Court, if something gets up to the Supreme Court and the court interprets a law that way, every subordinate court, which is every single federal court, and state court for that matter, in the United States, then has to interpret the law the exact way that they have said, or at least in line with the way that the Supreme Court has ruled on that law. And this applies all the way down. If you're a court in anywhere in this hierarchy, and you make an interpretation about a law, it becomes the way that law should be interpreted all the way down below you. That's what common law is, more or less. It's the fact that we have these laws written by the legislature, and then once they're out in the wild, the interpretations of those laws are decided by the court system, and individual rulings will apply to all courts within the jurisdiction below and within that court. That's why you'll see in legal movies or in real life, you'll see lawyers like, oh, in such and such case, in I don't know, in Plessy versus Ferguson, this such and such was. They cite those things because they're trying to say, look, the court has already ruled on this interpretation of law. We live in a common law system. You are in a court that is below that court or within the jurisdiction of that court. Therefore, you are beholden to the previous rulings on that precedent.
They further impersonate as if they were common law magistrates of the 1789 Constitutional Republic, while actually being municipal administrators for the purpose of administrating British administerial proceedings upon American soils. Did we not have a war over this in 1776 or not? Did we win this or not? If we did,
Yes, we did, which gave us freedom from Britain, Great Britain, the British Empire. It has nothing to do with your ability to not obey the laws of the United States or any of the states in which you are residing or find yourself in. You still need to obey the law. The Revolutionary War didn't say, "We won the war! No more government!" George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, they were not anarchists. They set up a government. Abide by the rules.
why are we still entertaining the British accredited registry and the American want to be a treasonous and want to appear as a British accredited registrar? Who in their right mind, in God's name, would want to do that when history is full of revolutionary evidence? Or, if we didn't win it, then who the heck has been lying to us in our school textbook and in our religious manuals and everything all along and upholding a lie?
Wait, what? What religious manual talks about the American Revolution?
As if it were so. Time to start thinking, people. Probably I'll see you tomorrow. Probably you'll see me in handcuffs. Hopefully it won't go beyond that. But ask yourself, what price? Freedom. What price will you pay? If there must be trouble, let it be in my time, that my son may know peace. My hat's off to the people, once again. We're good to go.
Again, he's got like a persona. He's got a personality. If he wasn't such a weirdo, he could be on YouTube and be like, "Here, I'll show you how to make a Franklin stove," and we'll, or whatever. And every video, he could be like, "My hat is off to you. See you next time." This man could be making buco bucks. Maybe that's just where my mind goes, because I do this for a living, and I have for like a decade, but god damn it, you have a persona. Sell it to the people.
Okay, I want to make an amendment to the previous clip. I'm going to do something with this ticket, which is actually a paycheck that has to be signed off. The United States Treasury is the only one that has the proper contract to pay this ticket. But they cannot pay it until they get permission, okay? Now I'm not...
Wait, I gotta go back. What did he say?
United States, once again. We're good to go. Okay, I want to make an amendment to the previous clip. I'm going to do something with this ticket, which is actually a paycheck that has to be signed off.
No, it's not. It's a ticket. It's a citation. You've been given a bill for breaking a law. That's how that works. There are statutes, and if you break them, you can be fined.
The United States Treasury is the only one that has the proper contract to pay this ticket.
No. Just pay the fine. Pay it with your money. I see you got food there. You got some beer. You got some bananas. I saw some peanut butter in the previous shot. So you have money. You built this nice cabin. So, like, use that money and send it to the people who you owe money to. That's how the law works. Or else you're going to get a bench warrant out for you.
But they cannot pay it until they get permission, okay? Now, I'm not going to grant jurisdiction because you cannot. It was stolen by the Bar Corporation 150 years ago in the course of the Civil War.
What? You think that jurisdiction was stolen by the Bar Association, the association that decides who gets to be a lawyer? During the Civil War? What? You're gonna need to elaborate on that. Ooh, is that just a big jug of protein powder? Is this guy a Joe Rogan fan or a Alex Jones fan? Seems like it.
I've already been to court as high as...
Oh, he's got some Baileys. Creamy Baileys. Anyone The Mighty Boosh? No? Okay.
federal levels, and I have won my name back. My right to contract, not to contract, is not in dispute anymore, even though this would appear to be, thus my charges of treason against him. There is a program afoot that is called A4V, except for value. On camera, I'm going to do this and show you how. What will come of this, I don't know. I have mixed reports of success and failure, but I'm going to try this. Follow along as I actually do it, and remember to do this for yourself. In my own hand, in black ink, which I forgot my red pen, but we'll deal with that, I'm going to write, except for value.
Okay, let me explain what this guy is doing, because I don't think he explained it very well. Sovereign citizens believe that there is a... How do I explain this? They believe that there are two yous. There's the true man that is you, or woman, and then there is the straw man version of you. They believe that your birth certificate is the creation, and the social security number that you get is the creation of this straw man version of yourself. And on the day you are born, an account is created at the Federal Reserve with $2 million in it that belongs to your straw man. Obviously, I shouldn't have to say this, but let me just asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. None of this is true. They believe that every individual in this country has an account somewhere at the Federal Reserve Bank that has $2 million in it. And they believe that they can pay traffic tickets, pay fines, pay bills with this account by using secret code words and writing certain stuff on the bills and sending them back. Of course, this doesn't work because these accounts don't exist and what they're writing means nothing. So they will often then get bench warrants and get arrested, and that's why you see so many of these people in court all the time, because they're not paying their tickets because they think that there's this imaginary $2 million bank account somewhere that they're paying their tickets with, when of course they're not. Yes, like magic spells. It's like they think the law is magic. It's very strange. After this video, I'm probably going to take a quick break and pee, and then I'll be back, because I have to pee pretty bad. But I want to go on for a little bit longer.
Which is an instruction to the United States Treasury to accept this ticket for the value of $285, wherever it's at on here. Right there. The bond is $285. Okay? Now, you flip it over to the obverse side, and at the very top you write, payable to the United States Treasury.
Nope.
Alright, you have to forgive my hands. Too many years swinging hammer. It's misspelled, but it's gonna have to do.
Do I need to... Okay, so even if this was a real thing, this imaginary $2 million bank account with the United States Treasury, it is not, of course. Again, asterisk, 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 this does not exist. Never do this. It's very stupid. You can't, like, sign checks with typos, with spelling mistakes. You need to void that check and write a new check. That's not how checks work. That's not how any legal, like, monetary transfer works. Oh, I misspelled it. It'll have to do. No. Nope. You would have to void that check. But this isn't a check. It's just a random thing, so it doesn't matter. It's wrong either way. But I just want to point out, even within his bullshit fantasy world, he's doing it wrong. Imagine thinking the United States Treasury has a bank account for you with $2 million in it, and you don't even know how to spell treasury.
I'm bound determined to do this wrong. You get my point. It's all fraud anyhow. Okay, now, the next thing required, so I'm studying out, is at a 45-degree angle, your name. And it has to be your autograph. I keep mine in all lower.
They also believe that you need to do signatures at a 45-degree angle. I'm not exactly sure where that one comes from, but I've encountered that a couple times.
Case, and I write it in proper form. For those of you who care, my last name, Tertelkta, means of the ancient oaks. Now, this is a ship. The treasury is the ship. This would play the part of the gangplank. Here comes the wharf.
It's not a boat. It's not a boat. That's not how legal documents work. Look, I drew a boat. What?
Now the wharf, you write without recourse. What that means is that this is now a negotiable instrument that is payable solely at the discretion of the United States Treasury, which will now have to order the Federal Reserve to print the 285 ferns required to redeem the bond that's on here.
No. No. Not how anything works. This is going to show up wherever you send this. I don't know exactly where you send tickets. I've never gotten a ticket before, actually. I've never gotten any kind of citation, actually. Good for me. I don't know where you send it. Probably some city address, and you're supposed to send a check or whatever along with it. Even then, I'd probably just pay it online if I got one. I think my city has online ticket paying. But wherever, they're going to open this and go, what the fuck? And it's immediately going to get, for one thing, if they're nice, maybe they'll, like, send you a letter being like, what the fuck is this? You need to pay your bill. But honestly, clerk of the court, thank you. But even if they decide not to do that, it's just going to get sent to the judge to put out a warrant for you for not paying your ticket. Colonial Kinkers, thank you for following. Appreciate it.
$285 is the value of the bond. Along the way, this bond is going to be further monetized, further securitized. By the time they're done, there's a very high chance that over $2 million will be made by the corrupt Kaffir seekers by the time this bond gets returned back to Lincoln County, Montana.
Okay, so that's the end of that video. I'm going to take just a quick, like, 2-minute break so I can go use the bathroom and get some more soda. I'll be right back, so just chill out, hang out with each other, and I will be right back for more Sovereign Citizen Sunday. Thanks, everyone. Just gotta find the... There we go. That's the button. Be back in a sec.